All right, here we are in Foundations Math 30. We're going to look at 2.2 and 2.3 today in our textbook. And of course, this is the Foundations of Mathematics 12 textbook by Pearson. And 2.2 should be on about page 98. Should be on page 98. All right, so the first example that you see here, and you'll see that on your book, page 98 here, is a picture of, this is an old picture, but it looks like almost like a used or like a thrift shop sort of electronic section or something. These are a lot of like, music speaker towers and different bookshelf speakers and stuff like that. But anyways, this goes along with this Explore the Math example. So it says this: Jaden saw the new sound system he wanted on sale for $2623.95, including taxes. So this is the total amount that he's looking to spend here. He had to buy it on credit and had two options. So the first option was this: use his new bank credit card, which has an interest rate of 14.5% compounded daily. So remember, credit cards, they have a pretty high percent, and 14 is actually not as high as I've seen. It's usually 19 or 21 or something silly. But they're always compounded daily. So you remember that the more often something is compounded, the more interest it generates, right? So credit card companies know how to get you there. Because this credit card is new, he has no outstanding balance. So again, the present value is just going to be this $2623.95. The second option is to apply for a store credit card, which offers an immediate rebate of $100 on the price, but has an interest rate of 19.3. So it's definitely larger interest rate here, and it's also compounded daily. So you're gonna find this. I've lived a long time here myself, and I've done this. I've used in-store credit cards. If you apply for an in-store credit card, lots of times they'll give you 10% off your first purchase. So and I actually did something like this at a local electronics store. They're like, hey, you know what? I was going to buy this huge system. And they're like, are you interested in the card? I'm like, I don't know if I need another card. They said, well, it'll be 10% off this purchase. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if I'm spending a couple grand here, may as well take $200 off. So I did it. I applied for the card, got the rebate, and it worked out pretty good. I didn't use the card after that, though, I don't think. I just kind of used it for that, which you can do that, right? So as with most credit cards, Jaden would not pay any interest if he paid off the balance before the due date of his first statement. That's called a grace period for credit cards. So if you can pay it off within the first 3 or 4 weeks, first month, then there's no interest charged, and it's like it didn't happen. So if you're going to use a credit card, especially if you're going to try and get points, right, or if you're going to try and earn air miles or something like that, if you want to use a credit card for a lot of regular purchases, just make sure you pay it off right away, because you don't want anything to sit on there, because that's when the interest really starts to accumulate. So, but he couldn't afford to pay it all off, so he is going to carry some credit card debt. Both cards require a minimum monthly payment of 2.1% of the outstanding balance, but Jaden is confident that he can make regular payments of $110. So the payment here now, in our calculations, the payment's going to be $110. You're not going to have to worry about 2.1% of the balance. So what I've done is on the TI-83, the graphing calculator here, those of you that are using this right now, I've got the screens below, and I've shown you sort of what we're going to put in there and how you're going to calculate. So you can follow along with me if you want, but I do have everything right here, this screen clipping. So for option A, and I'll just try and have that on the screen here. So option A, again, n is what we're trying to find out. Okay, so how do you know that we're trying to find out n? Well, we're going to try and find the total cost of each. Okay, so we want to compare. All right, he has two options. So if you know the percent, the present value, the payments per year, and the compounding periods per year, which is daily, so that's 365, well, then you can find out how long it's going to take him to pay it off. Notice that in this question, it didn't say anything about a length of time that he wants to pay it off. He just wants to pay it off as soon as he can. $110 is his payment. So what you can calculate then is n. And in a lot of these examples, if you don't know what to solve for n. Solve for kind of how long it's going to take to pay this off. So I solved for n here, and if you put this data in, you're going to get 28.34 or so. Over here for option B, we have to change our numbers a bit. So this is a 19.3% interest rate. Present value is the same, payment's the same, payment per year and compounding periods per year. So really we're just changing the percent, and we're going to find out how long it's going to take to pay off for this case. So for option B, it takes 28.92, and that's going to be months, right? So they're pretty close. Like really, I mean, if you went either way, you'd probably be okay. However, 0.3 to 0.9, you know, that's 0.6 of a month. That last month, you're going to owe a little bit more for option B, okay? So instead of, 0.3 months, so that's like 0.3 of 110, right? So that's $35 or whatever. That's what you're going to pay the very last payment. For this one, it's going to be 0.9, so it's going to be closer to $100 you're going to pay for that last payment. So that's the difference there. So the total cost here is the number of months times your payment, or $3,117. And over here, this number of months, and use as many decimal places as you can, times your payment, and this is your total that you're paying. So you can kind of see that option A is a little bit more cost effective. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do that with the online TVM solver. And again, this is the one that you're going to want to use. I do have screen clippings here of this completely filled out. So I'm not going to go through right now and do it with you from scratch, but I will show you what you would do for this. So again, what we're trying to do is learn from examples what are the values that we put in what spot. So let's just go over this here. So present value, that's pretty easy, $2,600 there. Payments, 110. Notice that I did do a negative there. I think you still want to kind of do that. Although in some examples that I didn't put the negative, and it still worked out fine. Future value 0, so you want it all paid off. Here's the interest rate, and it's an annual interest rate. So the periods are what I calculated. Now you have to. So this is going to be blank, right? And you're going to say monthly periods, and the interest rate compounds daily. So this is going to be blank right here, and you're going to hit this button, boom, periods, and this is going to show up. So 28.34 lines up with what we calculated over here. Now it's not going to be quite as exact because you don't have all those decimals, but anyways. So same thing over here, change the interest rate, okay? And you get 28.92. So your number of months times the payment will give you the total amount. So that's kind of the things we're doing here in this section. Okay, we're dealing with credit cards specifically. All right. So this is a very short section, 2.2. That's really the only example that they give you. So let's just talk a little bit about the key ideas just to round off 2.2. So dealing with credit cards, as I mentioned, incentives or promotions are sometimes offered to entice people to use credit cards. In my case, I have a credit card from a certain company in town here, a certain store in town, and I use that credit card that's attached to that store because I build up points, and those points kind of turn into dollars, and when I make a purchase at that store, then I get to apply that money, and it comes off my bill, and so that's the reward that I use for using this credit card. And in-store promotions as well. You might see some in-store promotions. For example, an immediate cash rebate is another one. You could, they may say, hey, it's $100 off if you apply for a card today, or if you on your first purchase over $2,000 or whatever. So, low interest rates, rewards, no annual fees. Those also might be things that you will see in credit cards. So you got to be careful if you have a credit card that earns a lot of air miles or something. You have to be careful to note if it has an annual fee, for example, because I have a credit card that is an air miles sort of credit card, and I earn a decent amount of air miles, but there's a annual fee. The ones that you have with no annual fee, obviously they're cheaper, but you don't the rewards aren't as good usually. So you want to balance that, okay? You want to make sure you pay close attention to that. All right. The full cost of borrowing should be considered before making a decision about using a credit card. This includes the total interest charged as well as the total payments and the time it will take to pay off the balance. So if you do not carry any credit card debt, that's a very good thing. If you can pay off your credit cards every month, then you're not going to get caught with a balance on your credit card, because I'm telling you that interest can go sky high pretty quick. All right. What do you need to know? Credit cards usually have a minimum amount that you must pay every month. So you'll see once when you get a credit card, if you don't have one already, many of you I don't think can have one yet. Gotta be 18, right? I think. Anyways, when you get a credit card statement, it'll say here's your balance. This is what you have left that you can charge to the card because there's usually a limit, credit card balance limit, and that should be on here too. And there's also a minimum payment and when it's due. So you have a 2 or 3% payment or $10 or whatever is the minimum payment that you have to pay by this date, or else you get more credit, you get more charge, interest charge, and all that sort of stuff. So there's usually a minimum amount, and there's also a date that you have to pay it by. Okay, if there's no outstanding balance from the previous month, a new balance is paid off in full by the payment date, then no interest is charged. So that's that grace period I was talking about. If a credit card does not have an outstanding balance, it is used for a single purchase. It can be treated like a loan. The purchase price is the principal. The regular payments can be made until the balance is paid off. So the nice thing about credit cards in our calculations, it's the same as really like a loan, okay? The cost of using credit is not just the amount of interest. There are incentives, cash rebates that reduce the principal. This may end up costing more in interest, but result in a lower total loan payment amount. So yeah, another card that we have is, for Costco. So depending on how much money you spend at Costco during the year, you earn some cash back, and it can be going towards your membership fee. So we don't have to pay a membership fee because we earn enough to cover that sort of thing. So just little things like that you want to be aware of. All right. So that is that's 2.2, and I am going to do a 2.3 video as well here very shortly. But I will show you your assignment for 2.2 is 1 to 4. So I'm going to end this video now for 2.2. And 1 to 4 would be the question you want to do for 2.2. And that is 2.2 is that credit card section.